Greymon, it's time to Digivolve.
Greymon, Digimon, to Digivolve into Ultimate. MetalGreymon!
It's morphin' time! Special shout out to our channel members, including our Captain Tiers, Infinity War Torn, Spin-54, Super Shadix Boom, Toma K, Jamie's World, It's La, Dorman, Toku Texas Cosplay, Common Pikachu, Satargo's the Kaiju from Krypton, Brendan Overland, AMG and Marco27, MJ Klein, The Voto Viper, Brenton Yadon, SSJ4 Jason, Oma Ender, Shenlong Zhanshi, Psycho O's, Jagger in Zero, Canadian Survivalist, Joj9789, Smith the Crow, Master Ben 95. If you'd like to help support the channel directly, click the join button down below for more details. Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome to my review of the FigureRise Standard Amplified MetalGreymon Vaccine Type. This model kit I was very excited for because we don't get MetalGreymon as often as we even get Greymon, especially not as often as we get Wargreymon. So it was really cool to see the FigureRise Standard Amplified line. I think I've talked about it before when I reviewed Shine Greymon, but that I hadn't been collecting all of these because they kind of just were doing the characters that always get made, like Wargreymon, MetalGreymon, that sort of thing. But they finally started doing some new stuff like Shine Greymon, like Machinedramon, and now MetalGreymon. You can hear some parts rattling around the box most likely because there's some extra things that we will talk about. Also, I want to note that it does say vaccine on the box, which says to me we're going to get a virus type. I mean, it seems kind of obvious because all I got to do is turn this blue, but yeah, I think putting vaccine specifically says to me we're going to get the virus one. But I think we shouldn't spend too much more time on the packaging. The art is gorgeous, but let's take a look at the kit itself and everything it includes. So here he is, MetalGreymon in the Amplified line. And much like with Shine Greymon and Machinedramon, he doesn't look that different from regular MetalGreymon. He's not a completely different design. Now he does have some accents and flourishes that the original anime design doesn't have, like these little green spots here and there. But he looks like MetalGreymon, and I really do love that. And I think in general, let's talk about details. The eyes here are fascinatingly cool. So what they are is they're white plastic where you put the little purple edging on it, and then the actual eye sticker just has these little cutouts for the little pupil reflection things that Digimon eyes have. And so because of that, that is the white plastic showing through, giving it a nice compound feel without feeling too flat, which I really, really like. And then in general, the sticker count on this guy is low, relatively low, like a lot of the kits are. You got the striping in the horns here, of course the eyes, the little green accents. But the way the mouth was done was really cool too, where you have 2 white layers of plastic with the teeth, and then 2 layers of red overlay clear plastic that work as the gums. So you just line those up, push them together, and now you get a nice compound look inside his mouth, which looks really good and is much better than say having to sticker the teeth or the teeth not being the right color. So I think this is a great solution sort of to that problem. And speaking of solutions to problems, while those little red details there are stickers, none of the blue stripes are. All of these are layered plastic, so there's a blue layer that goes underneath the orange layer, and the orange layer is just cut out so that it lines up. And what I appreciate too is on the fleshier bits of MetalGreymon, there's these sort of lizard textures, which makes sense because he is a dinosaur. And those have been kind of sprinkled about, which I think is really, really cool. He has the one, of course, flesh arm with these 2 little spots here that are stickers. But overall looks really good. Again, separate plastic colors all around. And then it even has articulating fingers. Now, of note, I thought this thing had a wrist turn. Apparently it doesn't, because I plugged it in and I went to turn it and I snapped the peg right off and I had to glue it in place. I don't think it actually is supposed to wrist turn. I think it's just supposed to stay in place. So just be careful when positioning it, because it's not fragile if you're not trying to rotate it left and right. It just doesn't seem to do that. And when it plugs into this side of it, it just has a little notch to keep it locked in place. And when you put it in here, it's just too tight to turn. So I just say don't turn the wrist and you should be fine. Now with the chest details here, once again, I don't really need to repeat it too often, but plastic separation is a high point. But of course, he does have the opening chest cavity for his missiles, which looks really, really nice. Again, all sculpted in, which is super cool. The only detailed stickers are these 2 little red details. And then with the arm, this is interesting because we'll talk about this arm in a moment compared to another one. But once again, really nicely detailed. You got yellow accents, stickers here, but the rest is plastic, all without. There actually is a sticker underneath these little yellow parts just to give them a little bit more shine. I think the legs look really nice. They look really cool. The only stickers being the little gray circles. Other than that, plastic separation all around for all of the mechanical bits, all of the striping, all of that, which is so cool to see. It's really nice when you build a kit and you don't have to do like 1,000 stickers. And that's really, really impressive because built with a lot of Gundam kits where you have to just use like 50 stickers to get all the details. And it's like major details, where here, it's all accent details. Same down the tail, all separated. And the wings are interesting because these are plastic sheets that you have to punch out the actual holes from, the actual peg holes to connect them to the wing struts, but also the holes in the wings. But they're on a plastic sheet, and that was pretty fun to do, actually. It was a little bit different of an experience. And of note, there's a couple peg holes here that currently don't have anything to plug into, but they're there. Also, these little like thruster blasters on his back, these roll around. You can actually move these, which is really, really neat, actually. And really unexpected. So let's go over the articulation on this guy, because, you know, he is a big old dinosaur, so how well does he articulate? Well, let's start with the head. With the head itself, it pivots all the way down, it pivots all the way back. You can have him kind of in a flying position. Even though we don't see MetalGreymon flying with his wings super often, actually, you can get all the way back. And what's really cool is that it is sculpted so that it is fully covered as you lift the head up like that. The mouth can open like this, and then it can open even wider, and there's a little, like, cannon blaster inside. So then you have like a blast effect that's in that size. You could totally do that. Doesn't come with one on that end. The shoulder here, it rotates 360. It moves in and out. It also moves, it has like an extra up and down, like at the mechanical bit. So if you look at the mechanical part, that moves up and down as well. And then he's got a bicep swivel, an elbow bend. And like I said, not really a wrist swivel, but you can adjust his claws in and out, which is pretty nice. On this arm, it's got the same kind of motion. Doesn't move as far out, but it does have that up and down, bicep swivel, an elbow bend, and then there's an additional pivot here at the extra hand, and an extra rotation there as well. Plus the claws can move in tandem. You'll start to see them do this. They are all attached to each other. I'm sure you could cut them loose if you wanted to, but they are supposed to be one piece. So you got that. Now in the torso, this is what's really interesting. So the torso, it doesn't look like it has much articulation, but you can actually pull this up, and then allows you to bend it forward and back. It's actually on this kind of complicated system inside. So if you want them like hunched over, you got that. If you want them hunched back, you have that. It just gives you some extra range, but it can close up so it keeps the aesthetic. But I like that it's not just a locked in solid torso. And then hips, the hips move out, they rotate forward back, got a bit of a thigh swivel, sort of a double joint knee, but you know, it's kind of a single joint in functionality. And then you got your ankles that pivot forward and back, left and right, and then he also has a toe pivot, so you can get him kind of in like walking, stomping poses, which is awesome. And then the tail, this is done very similar to Greymon's tail, where it's got like a ball joint at the top, and then it's got a wire inside, so you can pivot it back and forth on a natural thing. And I appreciate this compared to some other kits that I've experienced where they had ball joints connecting all these, and it would be really limited and it'd be kind of fragile. I like that it's got the wire posability. Then with the wings, they are all put on ball joints, and then they can move in and out or up and down. They can slightly rotate, though I would be careful of snapping the pegs off because it is a little bit tighter there to keep them in place, but you can adjust the wings however you wish. So this guy's pretty amazing in all those departments. But let's talk about this arm, because a lot of people were asking when this kit was revealed, does he reuse parts from Machinedramon? Let's look at why people would say that. All right, so here's FigureRise standard amplified Machinedramon, and you may notice the design similarities between them in a lot of ways. They're both dinosaurs, they both have a lot of machinery, but as where MetalGreymon still has part flesh, Machinedramon is all machine. And in fact, what I really liked about Digimon Adventure 2020 is there was a point in time where MetalGreymon evolved into Machinedramon, and that was really cool because they do have a lot of similarities. And in fact, the designers of the amplified kits decided to exemplify this further by using a similar arm design. Now, I'm not going to say same arm design, because a lot of us, I think, when we first saw the MetalGreymon kit, were like, oh, they just reused Machinedramon's arm, which kind of makes sense. They looked similar. But in fact, they did sort of. So let's go over this. First of all, you can see there is a size difference. Machinedramon is definitely bigger than MetalGreymon. And so if we're talking about in terms of the shoulder here, if we pop the shoulder out, let's look at the arms themselves. You know, just for my own benefit of giving you guys the most information possible. Here is the Machinedramon arm, here is the MetalGreymon arm. So clearly they are different sizes, right? But they have the same design. Like if you look at the design elements, you got the 2 little dot things, you got this up here. All of that is pretty much the same. Then the part down here is the exact same. So from everything from like the wrist part downward, on MetalGreymon, it's got yellow. On Machinedramon, it's got red, so kind of like a good evil thing. But these are the exact same mold pieces. And this goes a step further. You actually do get all the extra pieces for Machinedramon's arms. So these are the little like yellow bits because they changed the insert piece to yellow. So the rest of these runners became yellow. This part here, a lot of this is Machinedramon parts. Like this is one of the chest pieces. This is, you know, some of the arm bits, and you can see the rest of the arm bits there. So in terms of what they reused for the kit, it was basically the 3 parts off this runner, 1 part off this runner, and then little accent pieces off of these 2 runners. And that was so you could make this arm. So I guess it was cheaper, instead of molding this arm to the runners for MetalGreymon, I guess it was cheaper to include basically all of this, but with a slightly different color in the form of yellow. Now, the unfortunate part is that you can't just swap the bigger arm onto them because they are different style pegs. This one inserts, that one is a peg size. So it's kind of interesting to see that, yes, they did reuse parts from Machinedramon. It's just not as many parts as you would have thought just by looking at it off glance. But you can see that, yeah, the claw part down, but the arm size is definitely different. So that, I think, is pretty neat. But let's take a look at what you can do with the fact that you can remove MetalGreymon's arms. All right, that was a terrible lead-in, probably worst of my career, because it's not what I'm talking about next. I thought I was talking about the arms next. I realized he has some accessories in this form first. So just like in the show, when MetalGreymon wants to attack, one of his main attacks was that his chest cavity's open, which hopefully you don't pop it off like I just did. His chest cavity's open, and then he fires 2 missiles from his chest like that. So you get 2 missiles. They are exactly the same. They're the same parts in the runner. It's these little like angry-looking missile dudes, little trail on the back. They come with these little stands so that you can have like his chest missiles firing out, which I think is fun. It's pretty cool. You know, I don't know if I'm going to display them this way, but I like the option because some MetalGreymon figures of the past did not have that option. So you can have, there you go, the 2 missiles. And then on top of that, if you did want this guy up on an action-based stand, like a Gundam base, something like that, you pull the tail off, you insert this piece here, and then you plug it back on, and now it is Action Base 5 compatible with the square peg, so you can have him up flying or something if you so wish, which is pretty nice. I might do that with this kit maybe, because he is a little bit lighter than like Machinedramon and Greymon. So there we go. But yeah, let's take a look at the other things. This guy, like I mentioned, it's got sort of that vibe of the 2020 MetalGreymon turning into Machinedramon, which also means he has parts to become Alterous Mode. So one of my favorite parts about Digimon Adventure 2020 was the new evolutions they gave the characters. Not just, oh yeah, here they have the megas they had in Tri, but in the form of MetalGreymon and Wargreymon, they got Alterous Mode and Sagittarius Mode. So for MetalGreymon, he essentially mode changed into Alterous Mode by swapping out his flesh arm for a new metal arm that has a railgun attached. And I think this is great. I think this adds to the kit a lot because I do still love it as, you know, base MetalGreymon. But now you have more options, right? You have more functionality. You're not just stuck with, you know, here's base original MetalGreymon. And so with this, you've got the giant railgun arm. It does articulate the same way the other arm does. And it does have that kind of visual design language of he's sort of becoming more mechanical. He's becoming into, you know, turning into more of that mechanical thing. And I like that there is kind of this visual language with the possible split evolution. It becomes Wargreymon, he's more organic, but with some armor that can be removed. And then if he becomes Machinedramon, he's become all technological. And that's one of the cool things about Digimon, is that you could have 2 different paths of like where the character's going to go. And I think that's super cool. So with that, the railgun arm, I think, just plays into the Machinedramon side of it. But I think it looks amazing overall. The other thing that I kind of wonder about is this pegs in to this peg size, same way that this pegs in, right? So could I technically put this on Machinedramon? All right, we're in unauthorized modding territory now. I don't know if unauthorized. Oh, you can't because it's a different peg size. That's what this thing was. So this is a much smaller arm peg from that smaller arm, and they did have a different piece that filled that same space, right? So like, let's look at the other arm just to double check it. So yeah, see, it's a much bigger peg hole than on the MetalGreymon one, which is the same size piece, it's just a smaller peg size. So no putting the railgun on here without heavy modification, but hey, it was worth a shot. All right, so now to add to this, the amplified design adds a new feature. It's kind of a thing they're doing lately. Greymon, you could split his swords in half, which wasn't a thing in the anime. So instead of the biggest sword, he's got two. With MetalGreymon, they give you an option for an original form of Alterous Mode. They just call it original Gimmick. It doesn't have an actual mode. But essentially, you take this arm off here, just to work it out. We're going to set that back. So what we're going to do with the metal arm here is we're going to remove the shoulder joint, just keep this part. We're going to plug this piece on here, like that. Then we're going to take the railgun part off of here. We're going to remove this piece here, which there is a wire. This was a wire that was bent into place. It's really stiff, unlike the tail wire, but you do have to do that. And then we're going to plug this part in carefully like that. So now we've got a new railgun arm, and then we're going to pop this little piece out of here and then swap it in for this one with a peg on it. Then plug that peg onto here, plug this onto here, and now you've got crazier, more mechanical looking railgun arm for Alterous Mode, or whatever you want to call it. And to top it off, it actually has like a moving claw. And because of the way it's positioned, you could rotate this around so that he's like grabbing something and like, you know, thrashing him a little bit, or you can have it switch around to railgun. And that's pretty neat. And then adding to this, if you wanted to, I know this is like instruction-wise, it shows it like this, right? But if you wanted to, because it is, you know, kind of all the same peg system, you can take this, you can give him his metal arm. If you want this to replace Alterous Mode like traditional, you take that, you remove this, you plug it, you know, because this thing is on an axis. You can even, if you want to make sure the design stays consistent, you can plug it in on the other side, but we're just going to do it this way for now. So you can plug the shoulder in, plug this onto the shoulder, and then there you go. Now you've got two crazy arms, so you can have two crazy claw arms, or a claw and a railgun that look a little bit different. I like the options. I like that they gave us something original and new with this design that's not just, hey, remember that thing from 25 years ago? It's actually got some extra flair to it without completely redesigning MetalGreymon and making him look unrecognizable. And that's pretty cool. But of course, we got to take some comparison shots, because what I always do on this channel, I got a lot of Digimon figures. Let's bring out some other Digimon to compare to MetalGreymon. So of course, we're going to start with the amplified kits. MetalGreymon, Machinedramon, Greymon. Love all three of these. Machinedramon was like the first one to be, hey, we're not doing a completely redesign, we're doing something very similar to the anime. And I feel like that's evolved us into this current era with these two and the upcoming Paiildramon being very close to their anime designs, but modified and amplified still by giving them new features as opposed to giving them complete redesigns. And I'm super into this style as opposed to the previous amplifieds that were just kind of like, here's a complete redesign, because that just didn't interest me. And then as a comparison for two other lines, FigureRise standard anime-styled Wargreymon and the SH Figuarts Dukemon Gallantmon, so that way you can kind of see where MetalGreymon fits between the two other Digimon lines that aren't as frequent as FigureRise standard amplified is these days, but we do have those as a rough comparison, and I've reviewed both of them if you want more size comparisons to scale to whatever figure you're trying to match. And then just for fun, we got the amplified MetalGreymon, the 1999 Digivolving MetalGreymon, and then the Sodo MetalGreymon Alterous Mode from the 2020 series. So this is not really a comparison to show comparable items. It's more to show like how far we've come. I mean, at the time of the Shoto release, I thought this is going to be like the best MetalGreymon we're getting. And he's a little bit more animation accurate, but he's a lot less articulated and a lot harder to pose because he has no like outward shoulders. So like a lot of his stuff just clings into it. Like he doesn't even have room or clearance for his Alterous Mode arm. So, you know, he's kind of okay. But then, of course, you know, I think the big comparison here is to show how far we've come in 25 years. Of course, this is a figure that turns from Greymon into MetalGreymon, but he ends up looking a little bit like Cubone with this little over helmet thing. They still gave him the opening chest doors, which I think is pretty neat. And I like that, you know, he does have the metal arm. It's just a little shrimpy because it has to fit inside his body. That's still a clever toy, especially for the time. but I much prefer the Amplified as a MetalGreymon figure to the original Digivolving. The original Digivolving's not going anywhere. I've had him 25 years, no reason to get rid of him now. But this guy, it's just amazing to see where we started versus where we are now. Digimon figures have never been better. And just for fun, here is the Digimon figure collection, MetalGreymon Virus. So this is the blue one. This is the original design for MetalGreymon before they changed it to this color scheme to match Greymon. But I expect us to see this design in this mold at some point, and I look forward to that. And I probably will pick it up in blue because I just really like the way this turned out. MetalGreymon here is fantastic, and I highly recommend him. If you love the character and you love the design, or you love Digimon in general, it's going to be a winner. And I'm glad to see that, like, consistently, the FigureRise Standard Amplified line is putting out hits. I've been really happy with the last two of them, and I'm really, really looking forward to FigureDramon coming next. And if you're looking forward to FigureDramon, you should hit the like button, or just like the button in general if you haven't already. Hit subscribe and the notification bell, because I will be reviewing FigureDramon, and I'll probably be doing some Digimon videos in the meantime. Anyone heard about that Digivice color coming up? I'm excited. I got mine on order, so you want to stay tuned. Hit the comments down below and tell me what you want to see in the FigureRise Standard Amplified line or other model kit lines. I'm personally just kind of waiting to see what they do, but I want anything, honestly, at this point. I'm pretty easy mark for Digimon. Also, you should check out our Discord in the link below. Come join, hang out, join the discussion. Also, check out our live streams Mondays at 5 p.m. Eastern on this YouTube channel. And you can join as a channel member, and you can get perks like early access, member-only live streams, maybe some member-exclusive videos here and there. Check out the join button down below to see more details. Also, you can find my awesome graphic designer on social media and on our Discord at DarkClaw643. Plus, you can find Hero Club at hero-club.com. And until next time, this is Soundout saying goodbye.